Hello, welcome back. I'm laying in my bed, relax. This should be the world's fastest piston engine turboprop airline with the world's most powerful piston engine. I just read about, but that's an old Russian piston engine. That's not something you can buy, I think. But let's read about it. They have updated the Adobe Acrobat today. I have to show, read loud.
Tupolev Tu-114. Tu-114 Rossiya Aeroflot Tu-114 jointly operated with Japan Airlines. At Haneda Airport in 1965 role large turboprop airliner manufacturer Tupolev OKB first flight 15 November 1957. 1. Introduction 24 April 1961. 1. Retired 1991. 1. Status retired primary users Aeroflot Japan Airlines, in association with Aeroflot, Soviet Air Forces. 1. Produced 1958-1963 number build 32 developed from Tupolev Tu-95. 1. Variants Tupolev Tu-126. 1. The Tupolev Tu-114 Rossiya, Russian, TYY-114 POK, NATO reporting nameplate, is a large turboprop-powered long-range airliner designed by the Tupolev Design Bureau and built in the Soviet Union from May 1955. 1. The aircraft was the largest and fastest passenger plane at that time and also had the longest range, at 10,900 kilometers, 6,800 mi. It has held the official title of fastest propeller-driven aircraft since 1960. 2. 3. Due to its swept wing and power plant design, the Tu-114 was able to travel at speeds typical of modern jetliners.
Oh no. Now my computer had crashed. It locked the screen. So we can only do like this. But we're not just giving up. Just start again. So let's drink some cola. We need a few minutes to reboot. So I need to buy a new computer. But I have this debt. I'm paying like $800 or $900 to my credit card debt, to my debt every month. So I pay more every month than a cheap gamer laptop, to like $700 or something. Let's try again. I have to log in. Now the sun is shining, so now the temperature is getting up. To log in. My computer needs a few minutes to start everything again. I should have turned the camcorder a little bit more. I always turn it wrong. have to point this direction. Axis pointedly, that's fine. But this old computer is 6 years old. 6 years old next spring, so I need a few minutes to reboot. No, okay, now it will not always let me open everything again. But it did again, because I just update the Adobe Acrobat today. Good, but I'm not finished, because I need to open the web browsers. Good, let's try again, but it can crash again in a few minutes, or maybe not, never know. I have to lower my credit card debt, because I need to have some money. I need a lot of money for my just to buy food and stuff. I got 3 credit cards, so that's my payment, just this 2. But I have a lot of another and tax debt and stuff. I'm trying to lower every month, so I don't have to. I should not spend money on my credit cards. Buy a little cola, like $10. But that's fine if I just spend less, $50 or something like this. So I just look at that, some updates. And we have a lot of noise outside because they're cutting the grass, they do like all kind of stuff is popping up my screen. Because I've not paid my McAfee interviews like 3 years, because it costs like $100. I need to do it, so it's pop up 100 times every day and ask me to renew, but I'm not spending $100 to my interview. I need the money for food and cola every month. So activate voice. So read loud. End of documents.
Tupolev Tu-114. Tu-114 Rossiya Aeroflot Tu-114 jointly operated with Japan Airlines. At Haneda Airport in 1965 role large turboprop airliner manufacturer Tupolev OKB first flight 15 November 1957. 1. Introduction 24 April 1961. 1. Retired 1991. 1. Status retired primary users Aeroflot Japan Airlines, in association with Aeroflot, Soviet Air Forces. 1. Produced 1958-1963 number build 32 developed from Tupolev Tu-195. 1. Variant Tupolev Tu-126. 1. The Tupolev Tu-114 Rossiya, Russian, Ty-114 POK. NATO reporting nameplate, is a Lager turboprop-powered long-range airliner designed by the Tupolev Design Bureau and built in the Soviet Union from May 1955. 1. The aircraft was the largest and fastest passenger plane at that time and also had the longest range, at 10,900 kilometers, 6,800 mi. It has held the official title of fastest propeller-driven aircraft since 1960. 2. 3. Due to its swept wing and power plant design, the Tu-114 was able to travel at speeds typical of modern jetliners, 880 km per hour, 550 miles per hour. Although it was able to accommodate 224 passengers, when operated by Aeroflot, it was more common to accommodate 170 passengers with sleeping berths and a dining lounge. The Tu-114 carried over 6 million passengers before being replaced by the jet-powered Ilyushin Il-62.32 aircraft were built at the Kubashev Aviation Plant, number 18, in the early 1960s. Development. In response to a Directive Number 1561-868 from the Council of Ministers and Ministry of Aircraft Production Order Number 571, issued in August 1955, the Tupolev Design Bureau was to create an airliner that had a range of 8,000 kilometers, 4,971 mi, based on the Tupolev Tu-95 strategic bomber, powered by 4 Kuznetsov Nk-12 engines driving contra-rotating propellers. 1. The Tu-114 used the basic wing, empennage, landing gear, and power plants of the Tu-95 bomber, mated to a totally new pressurized fuselage of much larger diameter. To cope with the increased weight, increased landing flap surface area was required, and the flap chord was increased compared to the bomber's flaps. The wing was mounted low on the fuselage, giving the Tu-114 a much higher stance on its landing gear than the bomber. As a result, a new nose landing gear strut was required, although the main landing gear remained unchanged. 1. The Tu-114 was able to reach speeds typical of modern jetliners, 880 km per hour, but its cruising speed equivalent to Mach 0.71 was markedly lower than equivalent jet airliners such as the Boeing 707, Douglas DC-8, and Vickers VC-10, which usually cruised at Mach 0.83. It carried up to 224 passengers in maximum carriage configuration, although a more usual number for long-distance transcontinental flights was 170 passengers, which enabled the planes to be fitted with such luxuries as sleeping berths and even a dining lounge for the upper-class cabin. 1. Design. Tu-114 at the Paris Air Show, 1961. The Tu-114 had several unique features for its time, such as wings swept back at 35 degrees, the same angle as for the Boeing 707 and several other pure turbojet-powered airliners. the most powerful turboprop engines to enter service in Army aircraft. The Kuznetsov Nk-12MV, each driving two AV-60H, contra-rotating, four-blade, reversible pitch propellers. Lower deck galleys. A dumbwaiter connected the galley to the upper deck. Originally, a member of the crew was a chef. Lower deck air crew rest area. Long landing gear. The nose gear was 3 meters high, due to a combination of a low wing and its large propeller diameter. Many destination airports did not have steps tall enough to reach the Tu-114's cabin door because of this. The Tu-114 was a rare example of plane with a dual-use layout as commercial airliner and for government transportation. The same dual-purpose layout was used in the first Tu-104. The Tu-114 had 4 sleeping compartments with 3 berths in each, and a restaurant cabin in the midsection of the aircraft, the loudest section on the aircraft, with 8 tables, each of which had 6 seats in a face-to-face arrangement. During official flights, the middle cabin was used as a restaurant for dining. VIPs like Nikita Khrushchev and his wife traveled in the sleeping compartments, with their staff and entourage into tourist class cabins with 3+3 layout. Front cabins had 41 seats, first row 2+3, and the aft cabin had 54 seats. On domestic flights, all seats were sold at one price. There was no class difference in the USSR during the Tu-114's flying career. The most uncomfortable places on the plane were in the restaurant compartments, 6 seats instead 3 sleeping berths, these were sold last. 3 places in row 16, near the stair to the lower deck, were equipped with baby bassinets. Maximum seating capacity of the Tu-114 in its native configuration was 170 passengers. For international flights, sleeping places were sold as first class. In the early 1970s, sleeping compartments sang the restaurant on most Tu-114s, excluding 3 or 4, were dismantled and replaced with the usual passenger seats, with maximum seating reaching 200. The design was not without shortcomings. Passengers on the Tu-114 endured high noise levels, 108-112 dB, and vibrations from the propellers and engines. Operational history. The first Tu-114, registration 5611, was first shown to the West in 1958 at the Brussels World Exhibition. It later carried Nikita Khrushchev on his first trip to the United States in September 1959, first such visit by any Soviet leader. The Tu-114 was still in the testing phase and had completed its first long-range flight only 4 months earlier, after which post-flight analysis found that hairline cracks had formed in the engines. Trusting the Soviet leadership to a still experimental aircraft was risky, but the only video of a Tu-114 landing at Amsterdam Airport Schiphol in 1964. Other option for a flight to the United States would be the short-range Il-18, which would require multiple fueling stops. Alt-Houthi Central Committee, Minister of Defense Malinovsky, and Khrushchev's personal pilot all considered it too risky to use the new aircraft. The Soviet premier insisted, and aircraft designer Andrei Tupolev felt confident enough to put his son Alexei on the same flight. During Khrushchev's flight, a group of engineers were aboard the plane, operating diagnostic equipment to monitor the engines and verify that they were functioning correctly. Khrushchev later said, "We didn't publicize the fact that Tupolev's son was with us, for to do so would have meant giving explanations, and these might have been damaging to our image." For, when it arrived at Andrews Air Force Base, the ground crew found that the aircraft was so large and its landing gear so tall that they had no passenger steps high enough to reach the forward hatch. Khrushchev and his party were obliged to use the aircraft's own emergency escape ladder. 5. The last flight of this particular plane